that the award of the Nobel Peace Prize will help us in our campaigning to get countries to sign and ratify this vital international agreement.
Let's now come back home, where the contentious election laws amendment bills return to the plenary of both houses today afternoon. It remains unclear if NASA members will participate in the debate or they will snub the House altogether. The Joint Select Committee on Budget is also expected to table its report on the supplementary budget that includes the 9.6 billion shillings to the IEBC to conduct fresh presidential elections. Now, our senior political reporter, Patrick Amimo, is following up on this developing story for us and now joins us live from our City Center studio with more. Patrick Amimo, an update on what to expect this afternoon.
Thank you, Michael. The Joint Select Committee that was looking at the electoral laws is expected to table its report in both houses this afternoon after 3 days of writing that particular report, where it also reviewed the various submissions that were made by the public and also institutions. Last week we saw it held 3 sittings in Nairobi from Tuesday to Thursday, where it received different opinions or views from members of the public and also institutions. The amendments have already attracted both mixed opinion. There are those who feel that the amendments are not, the timing of the amendments is not proper, and they are of the opinion that the committee should withdraw these particular amendments at this particular time and have them discussed way after the October 26th election, which is only 2 weeks away from today. And we've seen that the Jubilee side also did indicate or maintain that the committee is legally and constitutionally established, as it were, according to the House standing orders, because we saw after the opposition members decided to boycott or keep off this particular deliberations at this particular committee, saying that citing mischief, because they did indicate that according to the Supreme Court of Kenya ruling, they did not say that there was a problem with the laws, but it was the irregularities and those illegalities that were witnessed during the election process. They also had issues with the electronic transmission of those particular results. So that was some of the issues that now the Supreme Court of Kenya did indicate and asked IEBC to go carry out the fresh poll in accordance with the Constitution and the relevant laws that guide elections. But we've seen prior to that now, Jubilee side came up with this particular amendment saying that they wanted to fix those areas, the grey areas that had been identified by the court, which annulled that presidential election. And that's why we see they did introduce an amendment to say that in case the failure to electronically transmit, then the manual transmission should take precedence. And that particular provision has been attacked by those who appeared before the committee. We've seen the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the network of ICT network, and also the other party, like the political parties liaison committee, did indicate that they are for the electronic transmission of results, because they feel that it's only through that particular process that we can safeguard the transparency and also the integrity of that particular vote, because they say manual transmission is prone to manipulation, but electronic, at least it can keep traces of what transpired during that election, that transmission of results and or the voting. That's why they said they did indicate that, like the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights was on record saying that even according to the Kriegler report, he was of the opinion that Kenya should move forward towards an electronic system of relaying votes, transmitting results, and also identifying voters, other than the manual system, which is prone to abuse. The other issue also, we saw that the Human Rights Commission was of the view that the 3 days accorded to this particular public participation was too short a time to reach at to have views that can inform these particular amendments to the laws. We saw yesterday Muhuri from Mombasa also say that these particular amendments were not timely, in that they only concentrated on views from Nairobi and left out other Kenyans in other parts of the country. So they felt that 3 days are not enough for these particular amendments. But we've seen the Jubilee side are very keen to say that they want these particular laws to be brought to both houses today, and maybe by Thursday, then they will have been passed by lawmakers to await the president's signature, maybe by either Friday or Saturday. But we've seen also the opposition say that should it come to that particular eventuality that the laws are forced through Parliament and they are endorsed by legislators, then they'll have to go to court and seek court opinion to overturn these particular laws, the enforcement in this particular October 26th election. Prior to that, also last week, we saw the Western countries also come out and say that the timing of the elections was not proper, and they were of the opinion that the committee, though some of the proposals could be good, but the atmosphere is poisoned, and they were of the view that it's making such laws are better handled in a bipartisan manner. But now that one side of the political divide was not willing to participate, they were of the opinion that these all ideas should be shared because they cannot introduce changes during the election cycle, given that we only have 3 weeks. 3 weeks to the election, and they did say that these particular changes will affect the workings of IEBC. We also saw IEBC appear before the committee and say that they cautioned the members of parliament to be very, very careful that whatever changes they make should not interfere with the planning of IEBC, because last week they did initiate the process of training the returning officers and deputy returning officers on some of those areas that were identified by the Supreme Court of Kenya, especially in ensuring that the results are standardized and the forms that will be filled by returning officers and their deputy returning officers adhere to the norms, and also maybe they have the watermarks, and there are forms that are really are supposed to, whose results will be acceptable, because in the Supreme Court ruling they said some of the Form 34As and some 34Bs were of dubious origin, some lacked security marks, and they did say that such forms could not be acceptable. And these particular forms, we saw they were affecting results of about from 80 constituencies whose cumulative total was about 5 million votes. So the court could say that it was not sure who among these particular 5 billion votes, whether these particular votes were genuine or not. So that's why it led to the annulment of these particular results. So it will be interesting to see whether the opposition, as it were, will come to the House and participate in this particular process, or they'll keep off, because the Jubilee side is very enthusiastic. They want these particular amendments to pass and apply in the October 26th poll. Michael?
All right, and just before we let you go, Patrick, now this joint parliamentary committee, does it have NASA legislators, given that NASA legislators have basically not participated much in, parliament proceedings? This joint parliamentary committee, does it include them?
The opposition NASA refused to submit membership to the committee because they said it is illegally constituted, because ordinarily such a law or such amendments would have been looked at by the relevant House committee, which is the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. But as present, all committees in the National Assembly and the Senate are yet to be constituted. In the National Assembly, you have 29 committees. They are yet to be constituted, and what is now in operation are ad hoc committees. The only thing that we've had so far in both houses is the establishment of the House Business Committee. But again, even the House Business Committee is only composed of members of the Jubilee side, and the opposition has not submitted their list of names to the House Business Committee. But as it were, Parliament has to carry on its legislative agenda and its business. That's why we saw the speakers of both houses say that they will not be held back by the minority side, which has failed to submit the list, because the minority side did indicate that they may be presenting their list of membership to these particular House committees after the October 26th election, and they said they were concentrating their energies on the fresh presidential campaign that had been ordered by the Supreme Court of Kenya. That's why they gave the committees a wide berth, and we've seen even that one that is looking at the supplementary budget is only composed of members from the Jubilee side and its affiliate parties, and those from the opposition have kept off those particular committees. So basically we could say that it is a Jubilee only affair that is happening now in both houses in these particular select committees, the ones that are reviewing the electoral laws and the ones that are looking looking at the supplementary budget that is affecting various ministries and departments. Because in the supplementary budget, we saw IBC was looking for 12.3 billion shillings to undertake this particular fresh presidential election, but from the estimates by the National Treasury, they were given 9.6 billion shillings because, according to the Treasury, the country is doing badly in terms of economic performance. KRA has not been able to meet its targets, and that's why there was a review. Even there is a tightening of the belt. That's why we saw even that there's now restriction on those public servants and state officers from traveling out of the country, and also maybe enjoying some of those things like hospitality when it comes to flowers and teas and in their offices. So they are cutting back heavily on the budget, and it's part of the decision that is informing this supplementary budget. That's why, like IBC for the fresh poll, they have been given 9.6 billion shillings, but we saw IBC, when they appeared before the committee, they did indicate that that money will not be sufficient to run the fresh presidential election, and we don't know whether that their plea will be taken on board, because something curious about that particular amendment in the supplementary budget is that we've seen the security. The Minister of Interior has been given 4.6 billion shillings just for security operation during this the 3-week period, yet IBC has been given 9.6 billion shillings. So there is a disconnect there, and we saw also the opposition argue that part of this was a scheme to either steal from from Treasury. But that matter, we'll see how it will go on the plenary, whether IBC will go ahead, maybe the budget will be reviewed upwards, and or it will remain at 9.6 billion. But according to IBC, they wanted at least an extra coins to